Good afternoon, class. So today is 25th of June, and we will have to cover the current affairs of today. So the first news is related to the delimitation exercise in Jammu and Kashmir. I hope you remember what is the purpose of the Delimitation Commission to basically provide or delineate the constituencies, the adjusting of the constituencies area-wise, and further which of the constituencies will be reserved for the candidates who are belonging to SC and ST communities. These are the things that will be done. In a rare gesture, the union government have basically invited the Jammu and Kashmir political parties along with the major dignitaries who were present over there, and now they have been participating in the delimitation exercises. Now please remember, if there is a delimitation exercise, there are bound to be election, but you must understand that already there is an assembly that is present in Jammu and Kashmir that is currently designated as a union territory. So right now, please do not confuse it with the fact that it is going to be a state anytime soon. The center have kept no opinion with regard to the giving statehood status to the particular Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory, but we will have to wait what will happen. But it is for sure that the election to the Union Territory Assembly, because it is a Union Territory with the Assembly, and Ladakh is a Union Territory with the Autonomous District Council. So they had another dispute, but I will not go into that. So I hope this is clear. So elections will be conducted there soon, and there will be elected leaders from the constituencies in Jammu and Kashmir. And please remember, there are 40 seats that has been reserved for the community, that is the Pakistan occupied Kashmir, which is under the jurisdiction of Pakistan. So these 40 seats are generally every time left open and are not filled by any candidate, in hope or the right of India to the fact that Jammu Kashmir, the whole of the Jammu Kashmir is an integral part of India. So that is another part. The next one is the Farmers to Observe Safe Democracy Day. So this is the protest that has been planned on the 46th year of emergency. Although I think this has been called off, nothing that sort of has happened, but they have called it that it will be celebrated as a Safe Democracy Day. Other than that, they have been planning again on the 15th of August. There will be marches that will be sent to the Red Fort. I hope you all remember the three issues that are pertaining to the demands of the farmers with regard to the commodity prices, the contract farming, and the Essential Commodities Act. So this has been the issues of the farmers. So I think with farmers we have enough enough discussions about that. So I will not go into the detail. If you need any information regarding the issues, you can already visit, or you can read down the previous notes that has been provided. The next one is the rural economy can jumpstart a revival. So this whole article is with regard to the government intention or the role of the government basically to provide the resilience to the rural sector. Now please remember, I hope you remember, during the first time of the pandemic, the agriculture sector has been the flag bearer of the development of Indian economy during the first lockdown when it was imposed in the last year in the month of March. And for the initial quarter, the growth has totally relied on agriculture sector. Now how it has happened, because the COVID infection was generally restricted to the urban areas. As people moved to the rural areas, there was no infection that was traveling from the urban areas to the rural areas. Maybe it have traveled in some form to the rural areas by some people who have traveled from the cities, but the rural economy was basically functioning in silos, and therefore they have contributed much to the agriculture. During the second wave, what have happened? The COVID virus have creeped into the rural settings. There were a lot of cases in the rural areas. We have seen the shortages of the oxygen in the urban areas or the metro cities, and we have also seen the lack of basic facilities in the rural villages, and therefore a lot of people have suffered in the second wave of pandemic. Now what we are talking about, that during the last year the GDP has been minus 7.3. So that is the total estimate for the total of the whole year GDP, that is for fiscal year 21. So estimates are available to us by the third month, that by the month of June we had a type of a total estimate that how our economy have grown. So this year we have contracted by minus 7.3%. Now please remember, I have already told you 200 lakh crore is the total economy. When I say we have developed minus 7.3%, so but how much we are developing? we are developing or we are losing approximately 16 लाख करोड़. ठीक है, तो 200 का अगर आप 14% निकालेंगे तो सॉरी 7% निकालेंगे तो इट विल बी 14, सो दैट इज 186 के आसपास. So 186 is the economy. Now please remember, even if we grow by 10%, that is, if we say an increase of 18, then only we will be reviving our economy of the pre-level of 2020 up to just about 4 lakh crore extra. ठीक है, I hope you understand how it works. 200 से आप 186 पे आएंगे, फिर 186 से आप कहाँ 186 से आप कहाँ पे जाएंगे 204 पे. तो 200 लाख करोड़ आपका ऑलरेडी कब था 2020 में, एंड इन 2022 यू विल बी ओनली सीइंग अ इंक्रीज ऑफ 4 लाख करोड़. सो दैट इज अ वेरी डिफिकल्ट सिचुएशन फॉर द country. Now, what are the other things that the government need to be focusing upon? Multiple issues, multiple economists have commented on that, and so Mr. Himanshu have also. He says that the things are being made worse by the handling of the pandemic. There was strict restrictions on the economic activity in the rural areas. Agriculture has been the key driver, but because of the increase in the fertilizers, the gross value addition and the growth in agriculture have slumped due to the increase in infection. Other than that, we have been seeing in the urban areas the decline in the employment opportunities. Unemployment is increasing, therefore there will be more burden on the rural areas, because ultimately what will happen, all the migrants who have traveled to the cities, they will go back to the villages, and therefore the need of the MG Narega will increase. Already we have seen in the last year, the revised estimate of MG Narega have almost doubled. So in the budget, 60,000 crore has been allocated, and in the final estimate that the government have admitted, they have allocated approximately 1.10 lakh crore for MG Narega. Now, what Mr. Himanshu's suggestion is that there are two things. Already we have discussed about it. I am just recalling it from the other article that we have read. Either you can increase the MG Narega days, either you can increase the MG Narega wages. So these are the two alternates that are available to you right now. Now, the another issues with regard to the inflation threat. Now, already we have seen that the Reserve Bank of India have said that 6% is the annual target we are looking up for. Now, what is inflation and how it is harming? Already I have told you that inflation is a type of an indirect tax that is imposed on the poor people, and they will have to face the brunt of it. So if there is inflation, the prices of the commodity will increase. If the prices of the commodity will increase, what will happen? The poor people will not be able to purchase any of the commodities. Now, it is a double whammy for them. On one hand, they are losing jobs, the opportunities of growth are decreasing, the income whatever they are getting, they are also decreasing. On the other hand, the prices of the commodities are getting costlier. So the gap between the affordability and the sustainability is increasing. So nutrition value of Indian household will decrease. If the nutrition value will decrease, what will happen? There will be increase in the undernutrition, malnutrition, or maybe underweight, or infant mortality rate would increase, or MMR will increase. These are the possible fallouts if the nutrition diets are not taken care of. So there could be an alternative way in which special care could be taken of the children and the women. Special interventions are needed to be made so that a direct cash transfer should be provided, direct funding from the center, so that certain nutrition requirements of this particular group or section of people shall be taken care of. So I hope this is clear. And this is what his advice is. He says that rural economy is the only way that can be basically jumpstart a revival. The next one is the staging a comeback, re-energizing India's Africa foreign policy. Now, what is this? Please remember, there are African countries, they have lot of potential with regard to the developing, and they have lot of non-tapped mining areas. The stability of the African nation is the one thing that India and China both desire. I will only give you a brief idea what is the macro picture, what is the trade between the two nations. So when we talk about the import and exports with the African nation, we have imports of approximately 27.7 billion and exports of 28.8 billion. So the bilateral trade is basically at about $55 billion. Please remember, whatever the deficit that we had with China, that is the total amount of trade we had with Africa. I hope this is clear. तो चाइना के साथ जितना हमारा एक्सपोर्ट और इंपोर्ट में डिफरेंस है, दैट इज 57 बिलियन, मतलब 60 बिलियन के आसपास रहता है. इट हैव slightly fluctuated because of the various restriction that Indian government have imposed after the Doklam standoff. Sorry, after the Ladakh standoff, not the, I think it is Doklam standoff. I'm confusing it with another Nathula standoff. Okay, so when we talk about this, please remember there is approximately 200 billion trade we share with China, and we have been on the negative part, that is 60 billion deficit. We are exporting more as compared to the, we are importing more as compared to the export. That is what we mean by deficit. Now this deficit is equivalent to the total trade we had with Africa. So that is a concern. So whenever there is a total continent that is just lying across Arabian Sea, it is hoped that the transportation is cheaper, and there should be a possibility of India to engage more actively with the African nation with respect to the trade. Now, what are the things that Africa needed? So right now they are lacking basic facilities, they are lacking food, they are lacking minerals, oils, and other than that there could be another opportunities such as infrastructure facilities, cars, trucks, or the mobility things from one place to another. These are the things we can look out for. Now, when it comes to that, we also have to look out our basket. What are the things we are completely exporting? So when we talk about the Indian imports, they are mainly from 3 countries: South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt. Okay. And when we talk about the top 3 exports to Africa, which are the objects? These are mineral oils, pharmaceuticals, and vehicles. As I told you, these are the 3 things that are needed by Africa. Now, when we talk about the imports, we are importing cashew, that is one thing, and secondly we are importing semi-precious stones. So these are the 2 things that are very important for India, that is coming directly from Africa. Now, what is advice of Mr. Rajiv Bhatia? He says that the Chinese companies are doing a commercial type of farming in the African nation because they have long stretches of land that is available over there. So what the Chinese are doing, they are going to the African nations, they are buying the land, and through commercial farming, they are selling it to the export market. Either we can do that, we can go over there, we can purchase the land, and we can use that particular things for the cashew, because cashew is primarily coming from African nations, and then it is processed in Kerala and Karnataka, and then it is supplied to the whole of the country. That is the another alternative we can look out for. We can buy direct farms and lands of cashew, and we can directly own them. So that is a type of FDI that Africa will also like. Of course, we cannot invest as much as China, because China will be getting ahead with us with regard to the investment that they are currently doing. Now, what is the role that India can play? So India should focus basically upon the interventions that are required by the community at a large. So what are the options that we have? The health services, which is cheaper in India, the pharmaceutical services, the drugs, vaccines, the doctors training. Other than that, when we talk about building fresh water resources, availability of nutritious food, vaccines, these are some of the things we can engage African nation upon. So they are poor countries, they are also looking for cheaper solutions. They do not want to get into loan debt trap that is already being complained by different sections or different countries of the world with regard to the African participation. So I hope this is clear. Now, other than that, we can create a summit for the African nation. Already we have conducted African Development Bank. There was a summit, I think, that happened in Gandhinagar, if I remember correctly, in 2016 or in 2017. So the African nations were invited to Gandhinagar, and the Indian companies and the corporates were basically advised to invest in the African nation. That is another type of thing we can do in India. Now, please remember, in the neighborhood, Africa is the largest continent. They had the largest number of the countries, and in the largest number of the countries, we can seek support with regard to the United Nations setting the global agenda, environment protection, climate change, the hegemonic situation of China, respect of the values, freedom, all things we can engage upon. So these are some of the things we can provide. And health, space and digital technologies, these are the new opportunities or new era of cooperation that we can offer to the African nations, because till date, I think very few nations of the Africa basically have some form of digital technology advance, or they have gone to the space. So the core sectors that we have done well in, we can offer them to अफ्रीकन नेशंस ऑल्सो. ठीक है, इसको ध्यान रखिएगा. प्लांटेशन में भी वी कैन बेसिकली प्रोवाइड दैम. The next one is the protecting the prisoner rights. Now, what is this? This is again the issue of the overcrowding of the prisoners. Now, please remember, Supreme Court have multiple times have said that whenever we talk about prison, prison is not only associated with punishment, but it is associated with reformation. When a person is sent to the prison, he is believed that over the time he will reform himself, and then he will be owning up to his mistakes, and when he come after that, he will be free and he will be a reformed person with a proper change and proper prospects for the future. Now, with regard to that, when we talk about overcrowding of the prisoners, please remember, right to life is a fundamental right under Article 21, and it is also guaranteed to the prisoners also. Sorry, it is also granted to the prisoners. Now, when we talk about prisoner, please remember, the under trials that are present in India, they constitute about 80% of the total people who are present in the prisons. Now, when there is an under trial, they are not basically receiving the punishment for the crime that has already been proved, but they are just under trial for which the cases are currently going on. Now, in that, the Supreme Court have said to the state government or the high courts to basically provide the bail on the signing of the bond, and the Indian government can basically locate, and whenever the bond term or the bond will be signed, they will be again relocated. Now, there was various problems in the overcrowded prison because the chances of the infections are very high. So if the people in the prisons are kept away from each other, or the persons who have committed heinous crimes or are on the trial for the more heinous crimes, they should be kept in prison, and other persons should be let go of the bail on a temporary period. So that is what they are basically talking about. And as the responsibility of the state, I think this is a better thing to do. The next news is in contact with all the stakeholders on Afghanistan, says India. Now, believe me, Taliban sooner or later, I have been saying you, I think for the last 3 or 4 months, as the exit plan have come forward, I have already told you that Taliban will not stop. They will try to run over whole of the country, and they want to establish there the Islamic Caliphate or Islamic State. So Pakistan would be the happier country, and India will have to engage, keeping in prospects the near future, that it may be soon a reality, and a pragmatic approach had to be observed, because Taliban is going to be a major party that is going to be, even if it shares powers with the Afghan government, it is going to be a major force that is present in Afghanistan. So India have to find a way, a practical consideration and a pragmatic approach with calibrated negotiations or concerns of India that will also be considerate with Taliban. Although Taliban have already said that they are not the same Taliban that was present in the year 2001, which was supported from the back end by the Pakistani authorities, but still India have its question with regard to the hidden hand of Pakistan ISI that could pose a direct threat with regard to the terrorist activities in India. So ये चीजें वहाँ पे रहेंगी. The next one is the outrage over felling of the heritage pine tree for road in Meghalaya. Now, this is a classic case of development versus environment. So whether you should preserve the environment or whether you should go with the development, that is another part. Now, there have been outrage with regard to the trees that has been cut off, and some of trees has been believed to basically even older than 100 years or more. Now, what kind of policy we should follow? Whether the older trees needed to be relocated, whether they are needed to be preserved because they contain a lot of life in them and a lot of historical evidences which can be used as a fossils and could become a flag markers for whatever has happened in the history. So these are the other part that have happened. Please remember, environment versus development has already been the case, and if I tell you, every time it will be asked in the interview, in whichever form it will be asked. Believe me, or even if it is not asked, it is a very important topic for essays. Just वो पढ़ लीजिएगा, antivirus software pointer. I don't think is an important person. The next one is Reliance to invest 75,000 crore in new energy. Now, what is this? This is the new agenda that the Reliance Group have basically declared. They have said that 75,000 crore will be invested in the new energy. What does we mean by new energy? New prospects of energy. We are in the battery storage system. What are the other alternatives we can look out for? These are the things we will be focusing upon. The research has been provided, and there will be coordinations, corporations, finding of the new technology, innovation, research, and other than that, there will be hybrid parks. What does we mean by hybrid parks? So for example, in the dams, the constant supply of water can't be available all the time. I think generally when you visit the dam, there are two times that you visit the dam. On one time, the water is currently flowing through the dam, and on another time, the dam is currently blocking the water. Now, during the time when the dam is blocking the water, the turbines are not moving. If the turbines are not moving, the electricity is not getting produced. So in that particular case, we can rope in, or the production of the energy can be happening either with the help of the wind energy, either with the help of the solar energy. Both can be looked out for. So that has been the case we can basically work upon. I hope this is clear. Okay, so I think that is it for today.